Hey everybody, welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well. Today's video started off as a reply that I was writing to an email from a guy called James, who's left a bunch of comments on the YouTube channel recently. He wrote me this really lovely email telling me about the Ragdoll album Back to Zero and how much he enjoyed the songs on there, specifically the song Shine. If you want to help support the channel, by the way, we've got the album available as a double LP. Unique splatter on everything, which is pretty cool. It's also available on CD, or you can buy a shirt or a patch or something from our Bandcamp store. There's links to that in the video description. So there's my big sales pitch for the video. But I do want to get back to telling this story about the song because James was telling me about how much he enjoyed the song, and I found at shows, because we open with this song, that this song kind of gets the biggest reaction in our set, and probably more than any other song, it's the one that people will come up to me and ask me about how it was written and what the inspiration is, especially for the lyrics. So as somebody who writes music and tries to write lyrics, that always means a lot when people connect with that element of it, because I think that's probably not the hardest part, but the part of the album or any songwriting process that I put the most thought into and that as a band we all collaborate on. So I want to tell you the story about this song Shine, which is the first song on Back to Zero, and it goes all the way back probably to about 2012, I want to say. So at the end of 2011, we basically filmed a live show that we had done, and we'd put out an EP just before that, and a few people saw these videos in the States. Long story short, we got invited to go and play our first ever shows in the USA. Our first shows out of Western Australia, if you can believe it. We put this little EP out, and we expected we might play a few local shows, and we, if we're really lucky, we'll go over east and play some shows in Sydney and Melbourne and do a little tour, and really did not expect much out of it. And out of the blue, we got booked to play this festival in Oklahoma, and it's like, whoa, we better have some more music out. So we went and wrote this EP here today, recorded it all in about 3 weeks, went over to the States, and my life got completely flipped upside down. Just the reaction that we got there from people who came to see our shows, who still come to see our shows anytime we tour through the States. Incredible, like life-changing thing for a 23-year-old guy who's grown up in Perth to go through that experience. And we immediately came back and planned to go back and do a more extensive tour. The next year we got invited to go and play the same festival again. We ended up doing this 10-week tour, which is like the ultimate road trip. I've got so many great stories from that tour. But we wrote another EP because we didn't really have the funds or the time to record an album at the time. So we thought, you know what, we've got 2 EPs out, do a third one, that's a pretty good set list, and we can go and do this tour and hopefully try, A, have a bunch of fun, and B, generate some interest for the band. And out of that EP, there was a song that didn't end up getting used that I wrote a demo for. And I actually found the old demo for this song, which I'm going to play for you guys right now. So I'm going to kick it in. This is about 50 seconds in. The idea for this song at the time was like I wanted to do a really epic song to have in our set list, like have strings on it, basically like a Stargazer or Kashmir style thing, but obviously in the style of Ragdoll. So I haven't listened to this demo for a few years. This is the original incarnation of what became Shine, and there's only really the first part of the story. Let's have a listen to it.
Take it as a sign, a message or a warning. You decide. Raise the bloody past, buried deep between us. After all, we are waiting for the sun to shine, shed my skin, lift the darkness from my eyes. No more tears to cry, one last time.
So as you can hear, there's a pretty corny strings patch on there. I'd only recently gotten a computer with Pro Tools, so I think that's Expand, like a man, what's the patch called? Like Daft Punk Strings or something. So that was kind of, I was just playing around with some chords, and we had a song on our Here Today EP called Heaven Above, which people really seem to like. So this was kind of like going to be the spiritual successor to that song, and it didn't make the cut for that album. We went for much more of a sort of like straight down the line hard rock thing with that EP, which really is what we needed at the time. The tour around it, like I said, was crazy, and I basically just forgot about this song until 2015. We did another US tour, and in between that, we did a 2013 tour and a 2014 tour, and like everything that can happen in somebody's life when it comes to your relationships with your friends, your family, and for the case of some of us, our children. I don't have any kids, but some guys in the band do. And just like everything basically totally went through the ringer of this thing. It's like, when you basically fall off the face of the earth and you're not in touch with any of your friends or any of your family or any of your loved ones, or when I first went to the States, I just started dating somebody, and that was really, really tricky on that relationship. And that relationship like crashed and burned right before we went over to the States in 2013. And which is kind of serendipitous, because on that 2013 tour, I met my now wife, and I, just went through a lot of, I think, maturing through that whole period, where it's like very, very challenging things with personal relationships and the relationships we have as a band, and that really started to take its toll, I think, by the 2014 tour that we did, where it was by far the most successful tour that we did, but it's like all the cliches of sex, drugs, and rock and roll really started to overtake certain aspects of what we were doing, and we had like a big reset on the band at the start of 2015, where we pretty much reevaluated what we wanted to do, and we basically just said, hey, do we even want to play music together? And I'm really fortunate that we were all on the same page with that, and we were able to work out a lot of our differences and kind of move forward as a band. And we did this 2015 tour sort of going, okay, cool, let's go and do this. Let's just remind ourselves why we do this, and let's all kind of get our attitudes into check. And that was a really, really important time in my life, and really important for us as a band. Furthermore, to get to the point, when we were flying back from that tour, I had my old iPod with me, and I was just listening to some music on the plane. It's like a 16-hour plane trip from the States back to Australia, which is mental, and I ran out of stuff to listen to, so I'm just flicking through and I find this old demo that I had done called Shine, and that was the version that I just played you guys. And I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I can't even remember this song. And I put it on, and I had this moment where I'm listening to this going, oh, I really like that vocal melody. I'm not so into the music, but oh my god, like, this is really, really good, and maybe I could write a few more verses for this. And I immediately heard what I wanted to do with the song. So I'm on the plane, and I've got my little iPod thing with the notes. I think it was like an iPod Touch. Actually, it was probably like an old iPhone 4. And I've got the notes thing there, and I'm like starting to write these verses, and I've got a melody in my head, and I'm doing the arrangement all in my head, just going, yeah, this is awesome. And I literally got back from the airport. I think I had a glass of water, and I went straight to my little studio, turned my computer on, and I started piecing together what I wanted to do with the song. And I want to say in about 8 hours, I had this demo version of the song together, which I then sent to all the guys. So I'll play you this. This is this file here in my computer is called Shine 2015 Master. And I took the vocals from that old demo and totally rewrote the music around it. So this is what we get.
We are waiting for the sun to shine. Shed my skin, lift the darkness from my eyes. No more tears to cry. Take it as a sign, a message or a warning, you decide.
So as you can hear there's this kind of like groovy halftime thing happening with it. I had to repitch the vocals, which is why they sound a little bit off. And I sent that to the guys and also to our producer Troy, who was working with us on the album. And he immediately wrote back to me and was like, man, I really like that song. You guys have to do that on the album. He hadn't heard the original demo. And we worked it up as a band. And essentially this is the final demo that we got, where we changed a few things. I'll play it for you really quickly.
We are waiting for the sun to shine. Shed my skin, lift the darkness from my eyes. No more tears to cry.
And that's a lot closer to what we ended up recording. There's a few differences with the intro. And I remember like layering 12-string guitar and doing all this reverse stuff. But the main thing with that song was what I really wanted to get across was this kind of cinematic feeling with the song, and having it start with just a naked vocal, sort of like bellowing this song, this chorus and this big hook. Out of nowhere, I thought would be something really different for us, because, you know, most of our songs start with guitar playing a particular riff, and then you sort of go on. And I love Ryan's voice. I've said it before, like, I'm so lucky to play in a band with a guy who can sing like that. So we really wanted to shine a spotlight on his voice in particular with this. And that melody and those lyrics, and to me, it's just a very cinematic kind of thing. There's a few interesting things. Let me grab a guitar. Going on, where essentially there's this kind of major minor shift in there. So the first thing that he sings, I'm in drop C, so to be C natural minor. So there's that kind of thing there where it's like, rather than go to the minor third, it's to the major third. And then it reaches up to the fifth, and it goes from the fifth back down to the root note, which is a pretty happening thing. Then it borrows some notes, more notes. I guess in this case it'd sort of be like a Phrygian dominant kind of thing. Again, which it starts off minor, and then you get this. The way I would think about it, the minor kind of sets the mood. You know, it's minor generally isn't the brightest sounding mode. It's kind of got this brooding darkness about it, which I wanted to set up. And then you get this like ray of sunlight when you hear that major third, and you think, oh, well, this is an interesting musical contrast happening. And then, so it's gotten a little bit brighter, like kind of like a ray of hope, which goes along with the lyrics, like we're waiting for the sun to shine. And then you have this sort of like Phrygian dominant line, which is super dark sounding. So it's going like major, it's getting a little bit brighter, but then it's getting darker again. And that really sets it up for a sort of dramatic entrance where, you know, big, heavy drop C guitar and bass comes in. And regarding the rest of the lyrics, again, it's like, this song means something slightly different to me, means something slightly different to Ryan, means something slightly different to Cam, means slightly different to all the people who listen to it. But I think what we hit on there with, by being a little bit vague with the verses, and this is always a good thing when you're writing, you don't want to be too literal. And I was actually talking to our producer Troy about some lyrics on the new album that we're recording, and he was saying the same thing. It's like, you know, you want to have that space in there for people to bring their own interpretation of it. And I always think with a song or a piece of art or something like that, you want people to learn something about themselves from it. So if somebody listens to the lyrics in this song and is able to relate to it and is able to be introspective and learn something about themselves, whether it's a feeling or whether it's anything really, then you've done your job as a songwriter or you've done your job as an artist. So yeah, that's kind of how we went about doing that. And obviously you can go and listen to the finalized recording of this with the final vocals on and stuff like that. And I think a large part of it is like the way Ryan sings that. There's a few lines in there that really go along with like all these threads that were happening in our lives, with our personal lives. And, you know, the guy just sings it with conviction, and that's really the main thing. I think if you've got a singer who can not just take a decent lyric and really elevate it with the way that they sing it and the way that they perform it. And, you know, the most important thing is that, like, those lyrics, for all of us, we've lived. And we're not just talking about some abstract experience where it's like, oh, the character has some things happen in his personal life which are very dramatic and upending, but he picks himself up by his bootstraps and he's able to, improve all of those things. It's like these are, we went through some dark times and we're very, very fortunate to still be playing music together. And anytime I listen to this song, it reminds me of that. It's almost like a mantra. I wanted it to be kind of give you that cinematic feeling, but at the same time, it's almost like a mantra that you can chant. That there's various mystical schools of thought who believe that by emanating these particular songs or these particular sayings that you can bring about change in the world or change in your own life. And I'm super skeptical in my own life with stuff like that, but I definitely enjoy music, and that was the feeling that I wanted to get across with that song. And it came out. It's the first proper song on the album. You can go and listen to it, and it's what we open our set with. And I think it's just gone such a long way to... It incorporates all the elements of what makes Ragdoll, I think, with Cam's drumming and the way he sort of drums really dynamically through the song and drives at Ryan's bass playing and vocals. And it's kind of like got all my favorite things about playing guitar that I like in there, whether it's the guitar solo using stuff from the minor scale and the Phrygian dominant, mixing that up, whether it's a vocal melody, whether it's the lyrics themselves, whether it's all this stuff. You can see I get super excited about this, and that's kind of the genesis of that particular song. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little story time. If there's other songs that you'd like me to break down how we went about doing them, because I basically put together most of the initial demos before I send them to the guys, and sometimes I even sing on the demos. You guys are never going to hear that though. And it's a really fun process. It's a long process, but it is a very rewarding process. So I hope you guys learnt something about at least the way I go about putting together songs. And you can go and listen to Shine, you can pick up Back to Zero, or you can stream it, or you can just tell your friends about it. Whatever you can do to support means a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I will see you all around real soon.
We are waiting for the sun to shine, shed my skin.